Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to connect the dots between two huge announcements that honestly give us a roadmap for the future of artificial intelligence. They're coming from two very different places, but they're both racing to answer the same exact question. On the surface, you've got this new AI agent on one hand and a big government infrastructure deal on the other. They seem like they're from different planets, right? But what we're going to see is that they both point to the next great battle in tech. And it all boils down to this one question. Who's going to own the entire system, from the chips all the way up to the software you use every single day? Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, first up, let's talk about Perplexity. They're making a really ambitious play here to own what you and I will actually see and use every day. That software layer, the part of the stack we actually touch and feel. So Perplexity has just dropped this thing they're calling the personal computer. And let's be clear, this is not just another chatbot, not even close. You should think of it more like this intelligent operating layer that sits right on top of your existing system. It's like a digital worker that can securely get into your files and apps to get real work done for you.
So, you're probably asking, how does this actually work? Well, Perplexity's CEO breaks it down pretty simply. It's built on the three things every computer needs, right? A browser to get online, a file system for your stuff, and a terminal to run programs. Then, and this is the magic part, you pair all that with these super powerful large language models. They basically become the orchestra conductor telling all the other parts what to do.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting. The key difference here, and what this slide shows so well, is security. I mean, think about those early hobby projects. You were basically handing an AI your password and just, crossing your fingers. Perplexity is building this from the ground up with security at its core. We're talking a full audit trail, and you are in complete control of what it can and can't touch.
Now, the whole strategy behind this, it's all built on this really fascinating idea from the CEO, Arvind Srinivas. You see, for a while, everybody thought AI models would just become a commodity, like electricity from a wall socket. But he's saying, nope, actually the exact opposite is happening. They're getting super specialized.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got Anthropic's models, which are amazing for coding. Then there's OpenAI's models, which are just incredible at writing. And Google, they're the champs when it comes to understanding images and videos. So the whole value proposition for Perplexity is to be that conductor, that smart router. It automatically sends your request to the best possible model for that specific job. You don't even have to think about it.
So who is this for, really? At $200 a month, it's pretty clear the first customers they're aiming for are professionals and businesses. I mean, think about it. If you're billing at a high hourly rate, the time this thing could save you on research or writing, the ROI could be almost instant.
Okay, so we've talked about the software layer. Now let's switch gears and move to our second story, which is just as important. We're going to zoom out from your individual computer and look at the massive underlying infrastructure, the stuff that powers entire countries.
And that brings us to two heavyweights, NVIDIA and Palantir. They've teamed up to answer that same who owns the stack question, but from a totally different angle. They want to control everything, from the bare metal silicon all the way up.
The key term you got to know here is reference architecture. And this isn't just marketing fluff, two companies slapping their logos on a PowerPoint, no way. This means they've actually tested the entire stack together, NVIDIA's chips, Palantir software, and created a validated end-to-end blueprint that's ready to go.
So, who actually needs something like this? Well, this is purpose-built for a very specific kind of customer. We're talking governments, defense agencies, massive financial institutions. They all have one thing in common, one absolute non-negotiable rule. Their most sensitive data cannot leave the building, period.
And this whole setup? It's a direct response to those organizations who've been told for years, hey, just use the cloud, it's fine. And they've always said absolutely not. This gives them total control right there on their own premises. There's no dependency on a big cloud provider for their most important stuff.
And that right there is where Palantir shines. I mean, listen to their chief architect. Their software was basically forged in the fire of these super complex, super sensitive environments where having total control isn't a nice to have, it's the entire mission.
Okay, so we've got these two huge battles shaping up, right? One for the software you use and one for the deep infrastructure. And this is where OpenAI CEO Sam Altman comes in and just puts a fine point on why the stakes are so ridiculously high.
What Altman is saying here is that we've turned a corner. It's not about experiments and cool demos anymore. He thinks that in just the last few months, we've crossed this threshold where AI is providing real, major economic value.
And it's happening at what he calls a disorienting speed.
And because of that, he believes the whole idea of knowledge work is being rewritten. For a lot of us, our jobs aren't going to be about doing the task anymore. Instead, we're shifting into the role of a manager, supervising a team of AI agents that can handle complex projects that take days or even weeks.
This might be his wildest prediction of all. He's saying that by late 2028, and folks, that is not far away, there will be more raw thinking power, more cognitive capacity inside the world's data centers than in all human brains on the planet combined. Just let that sink in for a second. It's staggering.
And then he poses another question, another threshold. He asks, at what point can a leader, a CEO, a president, a Nobel laureate, at what point can they not do their job without leaning heavily on AI? He thinks that moment is right around the corner, because you'll need that kind of superhuman analysis just to keep up.
And really, that brings this whole thing right back down to us, to a really personal level. While companies like Perplexity and NVIDIA are out there building this new AI stack, and the nature of work itself is fundamentally changing, the real question for all of us is this: are you ready to make that shift? Are you ready to stop being just the one doing the work and start being the manager of your very own team of AI agents?